Hi, this is Joe again with another review. For the sake of this video, which is most likely going to be my last review for the year 2017, I'm going to decide to do a Charlie Brown special for you guys. And since this one is kind of appropriate because we're going to have the 2018 Winter Olympics approximately about a month and a half in February 2018. So I figured do a one that's kind of fits in with the Winter Olympics, and that's the 1980 Charlie Brown Peanut Special. She's a Good Skate, Charlie Brown. Now, of course, this one mostly focuses on Peppermint Patty, and this was really the first and probably the only special I could think of on top of my head. Sorry if you heard that. That was my phone. This is probably the first one I could think of that focuses mostly on Peppermint Patty alone. Well, one could argue the Thanksgiving Charlie Brown show because she invited herself to Charlie Brown's house for Thanksgiving. But this one is mainly on Peppermint Patty, and pretty much forget about most of the characters, including Charlie Brown. But this one, like I said, it focuses on Peppermint Patty as she prepares to do a figure skating competition. Just like in the Olympics, this is a figure skating competition in the Olympics. So, and Snoopy is her coach, and he's supposed to be and his character is supposed to be based on an actual figure skating coach. It's kind of a parody of this guy. Excuse me. But in terms of the show, I mean, she does really well. Morrissey tries to help her out. We're making a dress for her, where she never saw a dress in her life, so they have no disaster there. You also have a disaster with Peppermint Patty's hair. What she do with her hair? It's all greasy and everything else, with her being she never really bothered to do anything seriously with her hair, and she wants to look good, and then Snoopy gets a wig, puts a wig on, and there was also another disaster. It also kind of reminds me of the 1992 film A Cutting Edge, or The Cutting Edge, which I previously reviewed. So check that out if you haven't seen it. And it's kind of similar to that in terms of the scenes with the dress and with the hair, and there was a scene in the Cutting Edge that was similar to that with the outfits and the music. You have that in this special, in this Peanut Special, in the same. It's very similar. Of course, I like in the movie The Cutting Edge, when she's a good skate, Charlie Brown. Peppermint Patty practices on the local lake that's frozen over for the winter, and everything was going okay until when a hockey team, when a boys hockey team decides to have a game on the ice, and they got into a huge fight, and Peppermint Patty and Snoopy takes care of them rather easily, and of course then she rules the lake. I mean, it's a lake. It's not an ice skating rink or a private rink that Peppermint Patty can use to practice. She goes out on this lake and about 4:30 in the morning and practices. Of course, the long schedules. Obviously she falls asleep in class. Was like a running theme in Peppermint Patty's storyline throughout the comics and the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show cartoon, where she constantly sleeps in class. She does that better in this show. And then, of course, you have eventually the competition and the tape of music, of classical music that Peppermint Patty was going to skate to goes haywire. And, of course, Woodstock decides to help out because Woodstock knows the music, and he whistles the music through over the microphone, and Peppermint Patty goes through her whole routine. And, of course, big surprise here, folks. Major spoiler for those of you who had not seen this show. She, of course, Peppermint Patty wins because she's Peppermint Patty, and she comes home with this big trophy, and it's it's a pretty good special. Well, the last few years, I think since 2010, this special has been brought back on television over on ABC, because since ABC is requiring the rights to air practically all the Peanut specials, even though they only air a couple. They only air about maybe 5 or 6 specials of the over 20 of them they have over on ABC or regular television, now on cable. But they piggyback this show to the Happy New Year Charlie Brown show, which I previously reviewed along with Rudolph Shiny New Year. So check it out. Check that video out. And it's the piggyback She's a Good Skate Charlie Brown along with the Happy New Year show. And it's it's something to film because ABC wants to pad out the hour. It's not like what CBS did, which they would air maybe a different Happy New Year show and after that, which was only 2 shows. The Happy New Year Charlie Brown and the Rudolph Shiny New Year. Yeah, well, the Rudolph show's an hour. Well, Charlie Brown's only a half-hour show, but they, want to have 2 broadcast or block an hour for Charlie Brown. So, since Charlie Brown shows are usually a half hour long, they pad it out by bringing in like a bonus special. And since 2010, they've been broadcasting the Happy New Year Charlie Brown show with She's a Good Skate Charlie Brown. And they do the same thing with the Halloween show as well. They put in the You're Not Elected Charlie Brown show after the Great Pumpkin. So they've been doing that for a couple of the specials, and it's it's nice to see some of the other shows that's not broadcast anymore, maybe for 20 or 30 years, but She's a Good Skate. It should stand on its own. Especially with the Olympics coming up in February 2018, they should have this singular as its own standalone show instead of being behind the main special that ABC is showing, which is annoying. But other than that criticism, this was a pretty good show. I mean, I'm not going to. There's no really over the top bad stuff that happens. It's just a story setting around Pam and Patty. And it's, now, like I said earlier, other than the Thanksgiving show, there's very few shows that Pam and Patty was the main character, and there's also very few shows where where Pam and Patty is the main character of the story instead of Charlie Brown or Linus. Usually, like Linus in the Great Pumpkin show or Charlie Brown and all the other shows. I mean, I used to call these specials Charlie Brown specials because of the name Charlie Brown is in the title of every show. But Charlie Brown and all the many other characters, they had so little to do in this show. They gave us very little material. But in the original comic strip, we should mention, because I looked this up, in the original comic strip, it was actually Pam and Patty was thought it was an ice skating competition. So they practiced ice skating. And remember, when she actually goes to the rink, it was roller skating. So that was in the original comic strip. But here, it was just a straight competition. There was no crazy mix-up like that. I also should tell you that I thought originally this show was based on for Dorothy Hamill. Was based with actually they had to draw Pam and Patty with the choreograph with her ice skating routines. It was just hard to do an ink and paint, animation show, which this was. They didn't have 3D animation like you do today. Back then in 1980. So what they did was Charles Schulz has a daughter who was incorrectly identified in the credits as Ann Schulz. It's actually Charles Schulz's daughter, Jill Schulz, who was an accomplished figure skater in her own right. The Pam and Patty the ice skating routine was based on her own routines, because she did the routine and the animators would draw Jill Schulz ice skating and they put those stuff into those routines that Jill Schulz was doing into Pam and Patty's routine. Of course, you're going to see Jill Schulz actually ice skating on television. Well, used to be on television back in the late '80s. Back in the late '80s, when they brought back the Snoopy balloon in 1987. I think they did it to about 1990. I think, or maybe even to '91, where Joe Schultz did an ice skating routine during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So look for those parades on YouTube, and you can see Joe Schultz, performing ice skating. But it was like a little tiny, ice skating rink on a float, because it has to make it small so you get through Lincoln Tunnel into West Side Manhattan for the parades every year. So, but she did like a little routine, an ice skating rink that's underneath the Snoopy balloon for a couple years back in the late '80s. So look for those parades on YouTube, and you can see Joe Schultz, ice skating. And she has nice legs too, by the way. Neither here or there. And so I digress. But this show, she's a good skate. Charlie Brown is a good show. I do recommend for those of you who like Peanut Special, especially one that's not centered around one of the few. Like I said earlier, one of the few shows that's not centered on Charlie Brown or Lucy or Linus, and it was a pretty good show. And they have a couple of very few funny moments, like the scene I mentioned with the hockey team. That was a pretty funny scene, and one of the few scenes that you can actually get a laugh on in the show, because it's not that they're not that funny. It's just her with the practices and stuff like that, and the scene with Marcy screwing up the dress, and Pam getting her hair done and all that stuff. That was kind of funny, but the tone is kind of different for this one. And this was the first Peanut show that aired during the 1980s. The first premiered in the 80s, because most of them, that was either in the 60s or early 70s. And so there's the first original one for the decade of the 80s. And I think it was really the last really good original Peanut special they had. Because the rest of them during the 80s that came out, most of them were pretty bad. So that's my review of She's the First Skate, Charlie Brown. Please click on the video, please rate it. Feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews and all on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com. That's over WDY.com. Homepage to the Rally Reviewer, Christine Moore. And for all my subscribers and all the viewers who watch my videos for this whole year, I'd like to wish you a very happy New Year, 2018. And I do hope that for next year I'll continue doing these videos. Thank you for watching, and catch you next time.